I'm 18 years old, and last year I moved from the UK to Thailand alone, and I've been living in the capital city of Bangkok ever since. If you're a bit older than me, you may be wondering, why the fuck has this kid ditched his life, moved halfway across the world to live in Bangkok instead of living it up and getting pissed in university like everyone else his age? And don't worry, I totally get it. On paper it does sound a bit weird, doesn't it? But the reality of why I chose to do this is actually quite sad. You see, I've always hated living in the UK, and even though statistically and in comparison to other countries it's not at all a bad country to live in, however, to me the UK was still just a rainy, cold, grey, overpriced country which I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I even remember in the winter months of the UK, I used to not even open my curtains for months because I just didn't want to see the cold, miserable weather that the UK had at that time of year. And this just drained my energy and made me feel terrible because I am someone who responds a lot to weather. If it's sunny outside, it makes me feel so much better. And I remember also just standing at the bus stop and the train station in the cold, rainy, freezing weather in the UK in like December or January, and actually this would last from like November till March sometimes. I'd be sitting in this freezing cold train station and the trains would get delayed sometimes by like an hour almost every single day, and I'd just be sitting there freezing, hating my life because I was just like, why the fuck am I here? Like, why do I really need to live like this for the rest of my life? And can I only escape this a couple weeks in the year just when I go on holiday, and then I'll have to come back anyway? Like, is it even really worth living here, like, despite the benefits? And for me, the answer was no. And because I was already making a decent amount of money from my remote freelancing career, I decided to make a change that a lot of people would consider dramatic and even crazy. I decided that as soon as I finished my college course, I was going to leave for good, and that's exactly what I did. A few months later, I officially left the UK and moved here to Thailand. So that's a brief explanation of my story and what motivated me to do this. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should consider doing the same. And it doesn't matter if you're not from the UK like me. I believe this is 100% worth it for anyone who lives in a Western country, and even for a lot of people who don't live in Western countries, but it is especially worth it for people who do live in a country like the UK, the US, or most European countries. And you will see why after watching this video. The first reason why you should move here is that it's not only cheaper to live here. Everyone already knows that Thailand is cheap. Of course it's going to be cheaper than most Western countries. But the thing that most people actually don't know is that oftentimes you can get a higher quality of life in general than what you can get in a lot of Western places. So you don't just get more for your money, you genuinely just get more in general. Of course, this depends on where you live in the West and where you live in Thailand. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that Manhattan isn't as good as some rural Thai village in the middle of fucking nowhere or something. I'm not going to lie to you and say that. But if you take a lot of the more average places in the West, for example, I don't know, Denver in the US or Liverpool in the UK, there are actually a lot of places in Bangkok and Thailand where you can get a higher quality of life than in these places. Because a lot of people don't know this, but Bangkok actually has a very high standard of living. However, a lot of the films that have been made about Bangkok, like Hangover 2, and also what a lot of people see of Bangkok when they come to visit as a tourist, is not actually the best of what Bangkok has to offer. The tourist hotspots are actually located in completely different areas to the best parts of Bangkok. So if you have just visited here as a tourist and you just saw Khao San Road and like the river that goes through the middle, it's actually very likely that you would have never actually seen the best parts of Bangkok, the areas that you would actually most likely live in if you came here and lived here as a Westerner. You may think that Bangkok or Thailand would be a hard place to work and focus. I've had people tell me, oh yeah, I would move there, but you know, there's too much partying, there's too many distractions. And this next point that I'm going to explain will completely disprove this. Thailand is a place of no bullshit. There are no dumb, crazy riots, no constant political outrage like the United States, no complaining about dumb shit like in the UK. People just get on with their lives here and focus on what matters, which for most people is just enjoying life, providing for their families, and for young people, building their future. And this actually makes Thailand a great place to work and focus on your career, because everyone around you is basically just doing the same thing. Of course, if you live in the middle of a party area, then this doesn't really apply. But if you live in a normal residential area like me and most people, the environment around you will actually be very calm and focused. But the great thing about this place is that if you do want to party, this is one of the party capitals of the world, meaning you can go all out and do this better than you would in any other place. But you can also, if you want to, focus and just be in a calm working environment where you can just focus on your own career or your work or whatever you want to focus on. You have the choice here, and it's the best of both worlds. The next reason why you should move here is because as a Westerner, you will most likely be treated better here than you will be in your own country, especially if you are a young man or woman. People oftentimes find you more attractive and interesting, and a lot of people want to get to know you because they watch Western movies, they listen to Western music. I guess they just find you interesting. And I'm not saying they're gonna want to be best friends with you or not, because then I guess cultural differences come into play. But when it comes to just like going around life and having people to speak to and, you know, even maybe making friends and finding a partner, it is easier to do it here sometimes than in your own country. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of more conservative Thai people that don't want to speak to you, but there are also enough people here who are interested in Western culture and Westerners that they are actually going to be wanting to speak with you more than the people in your own country. The fourth reason why moving to Thailand might be a great decision for you is more of a subjective reason, but I think the majority of people would agree with me on this one. And this is that the vibe and atmosphere in Thailand is just a lot more positive than in other countries. And what I mean by this is just that everything here has just so much more of a positive vibe. I really don't like saying that, I don't really like that saying, but it's the best way that I can describe what I mean. Due to the better weather, the culture here being a lot more grateful and positive, and due to the fact that this is a holiday place for millions of people all around the world, this means that everyone here is just in a lot more of a positive, good mood. It's almost like everyone who is here actually wants to be here, which is very different to the vibe that I oftentimes get when I'm walking in streets in the UK or Europe, where a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people just seem a lot more unhappy. And they look like they don't actually want to be there and that they're pretty much being forced to be there, which is just kind of sad, and it's not really an environment that I want to be around. The final reason that I will speak about in this video is one of my personal favorites, and this is that most people here just seem to be a lot less focused on material success. You see, when a culture focuses and puts lots of emphasis on achieving material success and having material possessions like fancy cars and, you know, having a big house and all this stuff, it can often mean that they will actually neglect other things like family, friends, and actually enjoying life instead of just chasing bigger and bigger numbers in your bank account. But here, it feels like the opposite. People don't really care about making it or being like on the grind set like so many people in the West are. People just focus on stuff they really actually care about and not what they are told to care about. So they focus on their families, they focus on their relationships, they focus on their friendships, and the same cannot be said at all about the West. And the statistics actually show this. The amount of people with 10 close friends is declining every year, and the amount of people with no close friends is actually increasing rapidly every year. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be part of a society that values money and numbers in a bank account over actual connection with others and having good relationships with your partner and friends, because that shit is fucking depressing. There are many, many more reasons to move here. These are just the main ones that impact me the most. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider dropping a like, and I will see you in my next video.